What if I told you that a single economic formula quietly designed behind closed doors could crash entire economies, confuse world leaders, and punish the world's poorest countries all at once? This isn't just a policy, it's a global shockwave. And today, on the Deep Why, we'll decode the strategy that's changing the rules of global power. April 2nd, 2025. Trump calls it Liberation Day, a day where the United States imposed a universal 10% tariff on all imports, followed by punishing rates for select countries. But behind the fireworks and slogans lies a formula so extreme, even top economists are baffled. And while the rich find ways around it, small nations are being economically suffocated. So what is this formula? Why does it exist? And most importantly, who wins and who loses? Here's how it works. Take the United States trade deficit with any country. Divide that by how much that country exports to the United States. Then cut the result in half. Whatever number you get becomes their tariff rate. Sounds simple, but simple doesn't mean fair. Madagascar, famous for its vanilles, one of the world's poorest nations. It exports just over $700 million worth of goods to the United States. Trump's formula slaps them with a 47% tariff. Lesotho, a tiny African country whose entire economy depends on textiles sent to the United States, hit with a 50% tariff, the highest in the world. These aren't trade superpowers. They're fragile economies. And this policy could wipe out their progress overnight. Now, let's zoom out. The New York Stock Exchange just had its worst week since 2020. Trillions have vanished from global markets, supply chains are collapsing, prices are rising in every grocery aisle and department store. And it's not just America reacting. In China, officials are calling this an act of economic war. In the European Union, leaders are preparing countermeasures, and across Southeast Asia, businesses are bracing for collapse. Meanwhile, small business owners in the United States are discovering the hard truth. Those tariffs, they get passed on to you, the consumer. The result? Fewer jobs, higher costs, and a global system unraveling. But here's where it gets even more disturbing. This formula doesn't target power, it targets poverty. Experts are warning. This is a tariff strategy engineered to hit the weakest first. Nations with small export volumes, no lobbying power, and minimal global leverage. Trade specialists say this isn't economics, it's political messaging wrapped in numbers. It skips over years of diplomacy and replaces it with economic force. One advisor close to the World Trade Organization said, "This isn't about leveling the playing field, it's about burning the field entirely." And here's the irony. While the poorest suffer, the richest multinational corporations are already rerouting their supply chains, using tax havens, or quietly negotiating exemptions. So why does this formula really exist? Because in a post-truth economy, math becomes a weapon. It gives political cover for moves that look tough, sound strategic, and seem rational, while hiding their devastating effects on the invisible millions. It's not about trade. It's about control. And more importantly, it's about narrative. And that's exactly why we created the Deep Why, to uncover the real reasons beneath the headlines. Because understanding the formula isn't enough. You have to ask why it was designed that way in the first place. If this video made you think, then you're exactly who we made it for. At the Deep Why, we go far beyond the surface, we ask the hard questions, expose uncomfortable truths, and tell the stories no one else will. Subscribe now because the next global move won't come with a warning. But when it hits, you'll want to understand why it happened. This is more than a tariff. It's a test of how power is used in a fragile world. And the poor? They're not collateral damage. They're the target. This is the Deep Why. And this is just the beginning.